else away from this particular piece of reading, I want you to take away this sentence, because this is far and away the most important thing, that a cookie is stored in the browser and a session is stored on the server. Aside from that, they're basically the same thing. They're both ways of temporarily storing data. It doesn't go into a database anywhere, just a way of temporarily storing data. But because the cookie is stored in the browser and the session variables are stored on the server, you never want to trust your user's browser. You never want to trust that it's secure. So if you have some sort of sensitive information that you need to remember somehow, save it as a session variable. Don't save it as a cookie. And that's really the big difference. Save sensitive information as a session variable and less sensitive information as a cookie. So the example that you always see is when you go to log into Facebook. There's that little Remember Me button, and if you click it, then the next time you go back to Facebook, your username is already filled in. That's all it does. It doesn't log you in. It doesn't do anything fancy beyond that. It literally just puts your username in that little field, which is just like, a nice little user experience thing. That doesn't need to be secure at all. Like, I don't care who knows my Facebook username. Everyone can, find out my Facebook username, whatever. If it was my password or something, now that would be a slightly different story. But it's just my username, right?
Doesn't Facebook store? I could just click on Facebook and log me in. So it stores my password.
Say what? It does store your password, but it doesn't store it as a session variable. It stores that in the database. So this begs the question, what would go as a cookie? What would go as a session variable? What would go in the database? Truthfully, there's really not very much that you would want to put in cookies anymore. Originally, they were created as a way of being able to remember shopping carts for users, but because they're not very secure, there isn't a whole lot of use for them anymore. Anytime they are used now, it's usually just sort of like user experience information, like for GitHub, it remembers your time zone, or it remembers your username, and that's about it. The other big use is that cookies store your session ID. So you need cookies in order for sessions to work. But when it comes to actually storing information, you want to put it in your sessions, I would say, 9 times out of 10. Really, the only example I can think of off the top of my head for stuff that would be good in cookies is that little Remember Me thing. And so, over here, I'm not going to have you guys do this because it is literally 2 lines of code, which is adding in that little Remember Me function. The difference is it doesn't ask the user if that app should remember them or not. It just does it without asking. But you access cookies the exact same way you access sessions and Flash and everything. It's just another hash, just like this. So this is in the sessions controller. When a user signs in and it creates a new session, it creates a new cookie with their username. And then the next time they go in to sign in, their username is already going to be filled in that little field. And that's all it does. It's just a hash exactly like every other hash we've seen so far. Flash, session, params, it's just like those. And that's pretty much it. So if you do this in your code, and if you do cookies username equals wombat, and then you go into Chrome and you look at your cookies for whatever this thing is, tuner, if you go and look at localhost in your cookies, you're going to see a username cookie with the content of wombat. And that's all there is to setting a cookie. There's actually a picture of it down here. So here I did it with the very imaginative username of foo, but it set a cookie called username with the content of foo. And you can see my session ID in here as well. We didn't talk about setting the expiration date of cookies, so that's what actually makes the bank sign you out after 30 minutes, is that session ID cookie expires after 30 minutes. But it's just right here if you want it. Okay, so questions about cookies. I unfortunately do not, but I think there are Girl Scouts somewhere around here. All right, so that's pretty much it for this class. The last thing I want to touch on is just, again, this is not a way to make a secure app, but that is totally okay. It's not something you need to worry about while you're in development. It's really not even something you need to worry about too much in production until you have you actually have users. So I wouldn't really worry about it. The important thing is learning how to build an app. you can add in security and everything later. And you'll always need more security. You're never going to have a 100% secure app, so it's an uphill battle anyway. So not something you should be spending your time on right now. Just 1 second. There are a couple things we didn't cover, which is actually like when you go to a user's page in here, right now it just shows you their username, which isn't very helpful. If you check out the solution branch, then it shows you how you would make all of the artists for a particular user show up. So if you make just all of the artists period show up, it's going to be artist.all. If you want all the artists for a particular user to show up, then it would be something like at user.artists. Aside from that, it's like the exact same thing. Okay, so now let's see. Adrian, what was your question?
When you're dealing with cookies, you're pretty much only ever gonna. Well, sorry, this is a question. Are you pretty much only putting that kind of cookie-related code in the session controller and session stuff, not the other controllers?
Off the top of my head, I can't really think of other situations in which you'd use it. So, yeah. I'm sure there are some, I just can't really think of any. Other questions? All right, well, if you're all good, then y'all have a good day.